Welcome back. We are now going to be focusing in telling time. Previously, you learned about weather. Today, we're going to be learning vocabulary that will help you make statements with telling time. Anything you want to add, Miss Ingrid?
Yes, and as you learned before, there's always patterns to follow, so you will continue learning new patterns in order to tell the time when it comes to the month of the year, the morning, the afternoon, or the evening, or just telling time on a watch or on a clock.
So, what can you tell me about those two words that we see here?
Well, as usual, we're trying to teach you options when you're learning your English. And here, we again use the word when, which we know we're asking an informational question about a time something occurs. So we have our informational question when, but we also have what time. What time is also a different option you have in order to ask about time.
So, we're going to be using prepositional words. For example, the prepositional word we'll be using will be in. Am I right on that?
That's correct. We will use in when we are focusing on the month of the year, the morning, the afternoon, or the evening. Here's some examples. In January, in the morning, in 2020, in November. So as you can see, we're using the prepositional word right before our time word. In the evening, in the afternoon, in April, in 2019. So another prepositional word that we will also be using is at. And this is going to be more specific when we're looking at a clock or on your watch. So, an example for telling time, at 3 o'clock, at 3, at noon, at midnight. So this is when we're specific about the time from a clock. And as you can see, this is an example of a clock. The minute hand is when it's pointing straight up. That would be the 0 mark. That means it's a new hour. It's the beginning of a new hour. And the hour hand is going to point to what hour it is. So for example, here we could say at 3 o'clock. We could say at 3. And so you have different examples of how to use the time.
Either I can say at 3 o'clock or simply at 3. Okay, so those are the two options you have. So either one is right. However, there's two ways of writing it. So this is, again, we're going to be showing you a comprehensive way of writing, sentences, really basic ways of asking informational questions, and again, the important thing about this whole model is for you to be confident when writing, and this is why it's important to be looking at the book, because it shows you the patterns, okay? So keep that in mind. Also, from here to here, what can we call that?
That would be
a quarter.
Yeah, that would be 15 minutes after. Actually, we will go into depth a little bit more in a minute. But yes, that would be 15 minutes. As you know, there's 5-minute intervals here. So if we actually break the clock into 4 parts, a quarter, which is 1/4, would be 15 minutes. So sometimes in everyday language, we just say a quarter after. But we will talk about that in a minute. And there it is.
Okay.
So here, you could see that now my minute hand is actually pointing to the 3. But the minute hand doesn't point to the hour numbers. In every clock, it actually has 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. So it is actually pointing to 15 minutes. So we could say 15 past the hour or a quarter after. Like I said, if we break the clock into 4 parts, and let me show you. If we break it into 4 parts, this, if we look at a fraction, is 1/4. So 1/4 of the clock would be 15 minutes. And in everyday language, sometimes we do use a quarter after the hour. So a quarter after 1 would be the time that this clock is reading. Or we could say 1:15. Okay, so what time is it? 15 minutes after 1 o'clock. Or what time is it? Quarter past 1 o'clock. So you have options again. In everyday language, we do use the literal number 15 minutes after, or you could say a quarter after. So again, by telling time, we know, like I mentioned before, 15 minutes here, another 15, and if we do our math, 15 plus 15 is 30. So now we have 30 minutes on the clock. So the minute hand is pointing straight down, which is pointing towards the 6, but actually it would be the 30th minute in the clock. So the minute hand is pointing at 6, which would is 30 minutes after the hour, or half past the hour, because officially this is half the clock. So half past the hour. Okay, so what time is it? 30 minutes after 2 o'clock. Or what time is it? Half past the hour.
And if you notice, we have the same pattern every time we're asking the question. So that's one way of, making it easier for you. So if you can always remember the pattern when asking the time. Okay? And then we're going to get more in depth when using numbers and also either quarter or half. Before we continue, let's practice the vocabulary. What do you think?
That would be great.
So we're going to be practicing words, for you to use when making sentences or statements or asking information about time. So what I want you to do is to really pay close attention to the pronunciation, okay? So Miss Ingrid is going to be saying the word, the number or the number word, and then feel free to pause and practice the pronunciation. Okay, let's begin.
Okay, so we're actually going to go over our number words because you need the number words in order to tell time. So I'm going to begin by saying each number 2 times, and then you could repeat after me. So you will be my student in this case?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, you know what? You can always refer to your book as you're pronouncing the words, okay?
Okay, so let's begin. 1. 1.
1. 1.
2. 2.
2. 2.
3. 3.
3. 3. And for that, remember that the TH, make sure that you bite your tongue. 3. 3. Okay? Like thumb. 3.
4. 4.
4. 4.
5. 5.
5. 5.
6. 6.
6. 6. And if you have a chance, remember, you can get a mirror, you can use your hands, but feel your mouth and your gestures to really learn how you're making those movements, because the quicker you do that, it's going to become a lot easier for you to really become proficient with your pronunciation. So keep that in mind.
Okay, let's continue. 7. 7.
7. 7, 7,
8, 8,
8, 8,
9, 9,
9, 9. And if you want, again, you can exaggerate. Like right now, that's what I'm doing. I'm really moving my mouth so you can see that. And it's okay to do that because you know what? With time, you can refine those movements and become really comfortable using those words, okay? So that would be very helpful.
okay, 10, 10,
10, 10,
11, 11,
11, 11,
12, 12,
12, 12.
13, 13,
Okay, here's another word. You know, the TH is sometimes is very difficult. So remember, as you practice your movements, it will become a lot easier. So I'm going to say the number word. 13, 13,
14, 14,
14, 14,
15, 15,
15, 15,
16, 16,
16, 16,
17, 17,
17, 17,
18, 18,
18, 18,
19, 19,
19, 19,
20, 20,
20, 20,
21, 21,
21, 21,
22, 22,
22, 22. If you notice, I'm saying it really slow, and the more I practice, the more comfortable I'm going to become. And later, I can just say the word with confidence like this. 22, 22,
23, 23,
23, 23, 23,
24, 24,
24, 24, 24,
25, 25,
25, 25, 25,
26, 26,
26, 26, 26,
27, 27,
27, 27, 27,
28, 28,
28, 28, 28,
29, 29,
29, 29, 29,
30, 30,
30, 30,
31, 31,
31, 31,
32, 32,
32, 32,
33, 33,
33, 33,
34, 34,
34, 34,
35, 35,
35, 35,
36, 36,
36, 36,
37, 37,
37, 37,
38, 38.
38. 38.
39. 39.
39. 39.
40. 40.
40. 40.
41. 41.
41. 41.
42. 42.
42. 42.
43. 43.
43. 43.
44. 44.
44. 44.
45. 45.
45. 45.
46. 46.
46. 46.
47. 47.
47. 47.
48. 48.
48. 48.
49. 49.
49. 49.
50. 50.
Thank you. 50. 50.
51. 51.
51. 51.
52. 52.
52. 52.
53. 53.
53. 53.
54. 54.
54. 54.
55. 55.
55. 55.
56. 56.
56. 56.
57. 57.
57. 57.
58. 58.
58. 58.
59. 59.
59. 59.
Noon. Noon.
Noon. Noon.
Midnight. Midnight.
Midnight. Midnight.
So as you know, this is the vocabulary that we're going to focus on during the next exercises. However, you know that a clock will continue with the 50s. So we know that there is 60 minutes in every hour. We don't say 60 minutes. We would move into either a new hour, so it would be 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, or if it's right at 12, we would say noon, if it's in the middle of the day. But if it's at nighttime at 12 o'clock, then we would say midnight.
Right.
Midnight.
And remember, pause at any time and really practice the pronunciation. Good luck, practice, and let's move on.
Okay. Remember that you could always pause the video and go back and practice the vocabulary with your pronunciation. It's very important because you will have, you'll feel more confident and you will articulate better when you are speaking in English. So please remember to pause the video and go back and continue your practice on your own.
Yes, and that's going to help you to strengthen your pronunciation and refine your accent. Okay, so let's move on.
We have some sentence frames that you can use in order to tell time. So in these sentence frames, you'll be able to tell any time during the day on a clock or a watch. So for example, the first sentence frame, we would put how many minutes before a certain hour, which would be, for example, if there's 10 minutes before 1 o'clock. or 3 minutes before 1 o'clock. So depending on the time, that's where you would plug in the minutes. So in reality, if I say it's 10 minutes before 1 o'clock, it's actually 12:50. So that's what we're saying. It's 10 minutes before 1 o'clock. Okay, so that is the first sentence frame. Now, here is the second sentence frame, and this is past the clock. Okay, so here it would be 10 minutes past 1 o'clock. That means it would be 1:10. So again, you plug in the number of the minutes that have passed the hour. So for example, again, 10 minutes past 1 o'clock. Okay, the next sentence frame that you could use is that you put in how many minutes after the hour. So this one is very similar to the second sentence frame, because they're talking about after the hour. So again, if it's 10 minutes after the hour, assuming that we know what the hour is, if it's 1 o'clock. So here you could say 10 minutes past 1 o'clock, or we could say 10 minutes after the hour. Okay? And here, sentence frame 4 is when it's exactly at the hour. When it's at the 0 mark, that means our minute hand is pointing straight up. It's at the 00 mark. Okay? So here it could be at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and so forth. So this is only when it is right on the dot, when it's a new hour on the dot. And here you could use, we use at and then the hour and minutes. So at 1:15, I will go to the park. At 3:15, I will go for a walk. So here, this is where you plug in just the number words. So that's what is very important about this program, is that we try to give you options so you continue your practice and you have different options when speaking. So you could always feel confident as you continue your practice.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first exercise for number 12, we're going to see a picture of a clock, and you could see it's 10 minutes before 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So in reality, if I'm looking at the time, it is still 12:50. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying 10 minutes before 1 o'clock. If I look at the clock, I know I have 10 minutes before it turns into 1 o'clock.
Yeah, this is before, this is after, right?
Yes.
So, and this is the sentence frame that I saw before. So, again, you have options.
So again, here we look at the clock. We know that there's 10 minutes before it's 1 o'clock. So 10 minutes before 1 o'clock. Now here we could see that the minute hand is the longer hand and it's pointing at the 1. So we could say that it is 5 minutes after 3 o'clock, because the hour hand is pointing to the 3.
Yeah.
So I could say,
and it's past the number 12, and this is why we're using the word after.
Yeah, exactly. So that is going to be your clue on which sentence frame you could use when you're telling time. If it's past the hour, then you're going to use after or past. So here we have, let's say, 5 minutes after 1 o'clock. Or we could use the number word, 1.
Yeah, I was going to say use, write 5. So either one,
So,
yeah. You can put 5 or 1 or the word 5 or the word 1. Now, you've been practicing the vocabulary with words. So what we suggest is for you to be practicing writing the word, okay? Because it's going to push you to become more proficient with your writing, okay? So keep that in mind.
Exactly. And
Okay.
some of the numbers can be tricky on
Yeah.
how to spell them because they are not phonetically, they're not phonetic. So basically, the faster you recognize how to write your number words, the faster you will be able to manipulate and write complete sentences.
Again, let's go back to number 2. And this is what I like about Steps to Success. We want you to feel like you're in the classroom, okay? We are looking at a number, right? Now, we made a mistake. This is not 1 o'clock. Actually, it's 3 o'clock. So you know what? What we're going to be doing, we're going to do this whole thing again. So we know that I have my number 12 there, right? And the minute hand is past, right?
Yes?
It's past the 12. So that means it's after, okay? So I have 5 minutes, okay, after the hour. What is my hour here? My hour is 3 because my hour hand is pointing to the 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a big X and I'm going to write 3. Remember, I just mentioned before, actually we mentioned to practice writing the word, okay? So this is 3 o'clock, okay? So let's say that whole sentence again. Ingrid, what time is it?
It's 5 minutes after 3 o'clock.
Right, okay? So remember, it's okay to go back and correct yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. And you know what? The more you practice, the more proficient you'll become. So remember, practice, 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 okay? So let's go on to number 3.
Okay. So here, again, the hour hand is pointing down, so it's past 6 o'clock. But you could see that the minute hand is somewhere between the 2 and the 3 here. So again, we have to see that there is 5 minutes between every number of the hour. Okay? So here it's about probably 12 minutes after 6 o'clock. Okay, so here I would put 12. And it is acceptable to write the number word. But for your practice right now that you're still getting used to the number words, it's better practice for you to write the word, the number word. 12 minutes after.
There you go, see? Yeah.
So 12 minutes after 6 o'clock.
And right now, we're writing the words because we want you to practice writing the words, okay? Because when you're practicing writing the words, you're also processing, the pronunciation, okay? And right now, we want you to strengthen your knowledge on how to say the word, okay? How to pronounce the word, and also refine your accent. Now, when you're writing letters, when you're writing memos, then you know what? You should be writing the number. But at this point, the purpose of doing the following exercises is for you to practice the patterns and also the words, okay? So keep that in mind.
So
Okay?
what time is it? It is 12 minutes after 6 o'clock.
Right. And so here's the pattern. What's important about this is the patterns that I'm using, okay? Because this is telling me what's happening here. Okay? In this case, it's before 1 o'clock. See? This is 1 o'clock. It's before. Okay? After. Okay? So we have 5 minutes after the hour. Right here, again, what's the hour? 6 o'clock. But my minute hand is after the hour. Okay? This is why I'm using that. So keep that in mind.